So I'm here to refute Marshall's speech in which he proposed that NFL rules are meant to protect players are failing. His main points were players and coaches are failing to obey simple rules, and that enforcing and being strict about the rules, the NFL can protect more players. In response to his players and coaches are failing to obey the rules, there's an example about for their equipment, which is one of there are several rules, hundreds of rules that the NFL has about players and the teams and their equipment. The players are actually responsible for their own equipment. The NFL simply sets a standard and requires that certain standards are met. To quote an article in New York Times, despite risks, NFL leaves helmet choices to players. The league, to quote this article, the league stipulates only that any helmet certified by the National Operating Committee on Standards for Athletic Equipment, or NOSCE, may be worn. So the NFL sets a standard. These players must then go ahead and meet this. And to enforce this, the NFL holds a twice-yearly seminar for team equipment managers. Players are also responsible for their own actions. They have to follow the rules, otherwise there are penalties. Giants center David Boss, he's in his 8th NFL season, said, quote, I change my gear almost every year to get what is new. He's talking about getting the best helmet and safety gear, wanting to be the best protected on the field so that he can not only protect himself but others. He's trying to not only follow the rules, but to make sure that he is protecting himself and other players at the same time. Marshall also brought up the 2010 Saints bounty scandal. He said that irresponsible actions lead to undesired consequences. But aren't the consequences that are enforced by the NFL keep the players and coaches from making these irresponsible actions down the line? Taken from your source by Joshua Levine, the NFL's punishment is in the bounty scandal is harsh, but the Saints brought it upon themselves in Slate magazine. In that article itself, it says that there's a sentence that says, the sentence Goodnow has imposed for the franchise cash for cart-offs scheme, or the Saints bounty scandal, is extraordinarily severe. A $500,000 fine for the team, the loss of 2 second-round draft picks, and lengthy suspensions without pay for the assistant coach, Joe Vitt, for 6 games, the general manager, Mickey Looms, for 8 games, and head coach Sean Payton loses his full season salary of $7.5 million. And the former Saints defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, will lose at least a full season, if not more. You say that the NFL doesn't, this scandal leads to irresponsible actions and undesired consequences. Well, by the NFL setting these strict rules, they are therefore going to hopefully stop consequences down the line. Your evidence undermines your statement because this is an extraordinarily severe consequence, and no one has been seen doing something of the nature since. The second point, the NFL is enforcing stricter rules, and as a result is protecting players. New rules were set into place. The NFL rule changes more protection for vulnerable players. This was a LA Times article. Ray Anderson says, quote, Ray Anderson, who's the league's chief disciplinarian, says, quote, that repeated offenders or players committing flagrant illegal hits will have much greater chance of being suspended during the 2011 season. Frankly, now that the set notice has been given, players and coaches and clubs are very aware of the emphasis is, and we won't have any hesitation to further penalize players. Anderson said, to continue, "Everyone will be clearly noticed now that a suspension is very viable for us, and we will exercise it when it comes to illegal hits to the neck, head, and other areas." The NFL has also added several rules within the last couple of years. Rules defining players have been expanded, and they now include several more categories. For example, in that same article that I just referenced, it references about 8 different categories, but I'm short on time. Also, the NFL has altered rules, fined and suspended players who hit opponents to the head and contributed millions of dollars for the study of head injuries. This was proven by Brady Refutation. She wrote an article for the New York Times again about the NFL. The NFL has also changed some things. They've added neurological consultants on the sidelines to help diagnose, to help protect these players, enforce stricter rules, make sure that people are diagnosed and taken care of properly. This was shown also in Judy Batista's article in the New York Times. So kind of to wrap everything up, the NFL has enforced stricter rules, and they are trying to protect players better. And the players and coaches, if they are starting to now follow the rules because the NFL has put on these stricter penalties and restrictions and rules and regulations to try and keep them to not break the simple rules.
All right, well, your basic argument comes down to the point that the advocate seems to assume that the rules are not being enforced properly and that the NFL is the one that's responsible for this. And you are arguing on 2 levels that the players themselves have to take responsibility for this on an early point, and that there is substantial NFL activity on those points. So I think those do respond to the secondary claims, and I think you have very good evidence on a couple of the points showing how substantial the penalties are and how interested the players are in trying to improve safety for themselves. So the real question is, how big a difference is there between what the advocate is saying and what is actually going on? And I think you need to diminish that a little bit more, but you've got the right idea in the way you develop. I think the inherent problem is the nature of the original argument, and I think you need to discuss that a little bit more. All right. Thank you.